So, what are we supposed to do to get Dave up here? Are you ready? Dave Freeze! Woo! Come on, Dave!
Louder, louder, louder!
Yeah!
Louder, louder!
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sherry, thank you. Let's give Sherry and Sage International a big round of applause and a thank you for putting this on for us. As you could probably tell from listening, I have heard Fred and I've heard Sherry before, but it's phenomenal every time. And I have this little black book back there, and I probably already have 4 or 5 things in it to take away and to start acting on. And usually when I go to a seminar or something like this, if I get one idea, I make so many times what I paid for it that it's well worth it. So I'm already way ahead of the game. Now, Sherry told you that I was a lawyer, and a lot of times when I speak to audiences like this, we don't mention that. By the way, does anybody mind if I shed this? You can see my more robust figure. I used to bound onto the stage, but then I had a spinal cord injury and I was paralyzed from the neck down. And fortunately, I recovered almost all of my ability to walk and talk and hold things. But I did lose my ability to bound onto the stage without causing rippling. Anyway, a lot of times the audiences don't know that I'm an attorney, but since you do, does anybody mind if I tell a true attorney story, not a joke? No objections? Very quickly, my parents, for one of those big anniversaries that ends in a 0 or a 5, decided that they were going to go ballooning. Anybody in here ever go ballooning? Okay, fair number. And they were going to roll over the majestic, or float over the rolling, majestic countryside of Chester County, Pennsylvania. I'm quoting from the brochure. And when my mom told me this, I said, Mom, ballooning, I think it's a little dangerous. And she said, no, it's not. They have champagne and crudité. As though these things are like incompatible with danger somehow. And then she says, and they have a chase vehicle. Your Honor, I rest my case. If you don't need a chase vehicle unless the thing is dangerous. Anybody here own a ballooning company? So we can speak freely. So I gave her all these dire warnings. She would hear none of it, and they went that day. Apparently it's spectacular. They're blowing up the balloons in this field. They're bright and colorful. They meet the balloon pilot. He's the balloon pilot. At this point of the story, later he becomes the frightened young man. They go up in the balloon, and it's very, can you verify this for me? You've done it. It's quiet, right? It's silent. Everybody's happy. They've had champagne, crudité. They could see the chase vehicle with the big number 13 on top, following them along. You got that. Not everybody likes that. And everybody's happy. And the only thing you hear, apparently, is when they fill the balloon up with hot air. And these balloons go over my house, by the way. That causes my dog to bark for like 4 hours. They're floating, having a great time, and they notice he's starting to pull a lot more frequently, but they're not going up. They're starting to come down. Nobody really panics until the chase vehicle drops out of sight. And then my mom said there was a big row of trees, and we're coming down, and there's also some power lines. And I'm a trust and estates attorney by training, which is why I'm going to be talking to you tomorrow, too. And I said, so I'm fascinated with death. I said, were you afraid of death? And she said, no. I was afraid you might have been right. So they come down pretty quickly, but as it happens, just the bottom of the gondola brushes against the trees. On the other side of the trees is a big wide open field, and they come down with a little bit of a thud, but everybody's okay. Now here's where my dad begins to become amused, because they don't really know where they are, and the balloon pilot sees a big black Lincoln Town Car coming down the road. He jumps out of the balloon, he goes over, he flags it down. Guy puts down the window. Yes. Oh, excuse me. Sir, could you tell us where we are? And my dad is smiling because he said, I knew right then I was living a lawyer joke, and it was phenomenal. And the guy in the car said, yes, I can. You're in a cornfield beside this road. Up goes the window, and he drives away. Now, Sherry said I had to paraphrase what my dad said. Now, we're going to talk about communication skills, so let's see if you can catch the paraphrase. He said, that guy must have been an attorney. my mom and the balloon pilot said, what do you mean? He said, yes. He got to quote the lawyer joke. What he told us was exactly correct and served absolutely no useful purpose whatsoever. What I'm going to do right now, though, hopefully will be a little different. We're going to give you specific things that you can take home and start using, and you'll probably start using them here. I'm going to be teaching you the strategies and skills and tactics of great communicators throughout history. All of the information that I'm about to teach you, you already use. In other words, you're an expert at communication, at negotiation, at persuasion, in some area of your life. But if you're really good at communicating and making yourself clear and really good at motivating and really good at negotiating in that area of your life, how cool would it be? How good would it be? How enriching would it be? How much more pleasant would your life be if you could just take that skill and begin to apply it in more and more areas of your life? So what I want to do today is show you how to take that expertise of communication skills you already have and to expand it to other areas of your life. The way this will work is I will make you aware of things that great communicators, great persuaders, and great negotiators have done throughout history. And you'll probably notice and say, yes, I think that's right. I like that and I do that and it works for me. At first, it will seem a little bit awkward. That's why we're going to try it out here and play with it a little bit so that you get used to using these things in different contexts. But then it's going to become very simple and very smooth. You know, when you first start to learn any skill, you're unconsciously incompetent. It's like my son. Josh hates me to tell this story, but Josh turned 16. He didn't know he couldn't drive a car. He just saw me driving a car. He figured if Dad could do it, anybody can. He was unconsciously incompetent. He didn't know he couldn't do it. He got behind the wheel of the car. He suddenly became consciously incompetent. It was very hard to get that car backed out of the driveway. So now he knew he couldn't do it. Gradually, he's practicing. He has to think about every move, but he becomes consciously competent. He could back it out. He could keep it on the road. But in that phase, we were coming up on a stop sign once, and I said, just at the last minute, Josh, you got to stop. There's a stop sign. And he did. And he said, oh, my God, Dad. I didn't even see that stop sign. I said, that's because you're focusing all your attention on driving right now. He's just consciously competent at it. Now, fast forward a few months. I know you see these people. Maybe you're even one of them. Cup of coffee, newspaper, cigarette. You're not paying any attention to driving, and yet you get the car, for the most part, safely from one point to the other. You're unconsciously competent. You don't have to think anymore about driving the car. That's how you are already in some areas of your life. Maybe you're a great salesperson, but you go home and shout at everybody at the end of the day. Maybe you're a great negotiator, but you have trouble with sales and marketing. We're going to teach you those skills that you already know how to use, and teach you how to use them in other areas of your life. How good would that be? Does anybody want that?